So section 1.5, we are going to be talking about dividing integers. And the rules for dividing integers are basically identical for the rules for multiplying. So here's the thing, if you know how to multiply and divide regular numbers and whole numbers, doing this with integers is not going to be a problem because it follows the same rules. First, you divide left to right. 2, dividing same signs creates a positive number. And 3, dividing different signs creates a negative number. That's really all you need to understand. And now it's just a matter of following the rules. And speaking of rules, that brings us to the order of operations. Now, I've been touching on it throughout this entire chapter about reviewing PEMDAS and everything. So this particular section, we're going to be kind of hitting PEMDAS a little bit more. So let's just kind of review what it means. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. She walks from left to right. You've probably heard this before, and if you haven't, well, congratulations. I'm glad I know I'm the first one to teach it to you. So, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The P represents parentheses. Okay. E stands for exponents. M represents multiplication. Oh, need some lead. Need lead. Okay. D is for divide. A is for add. And S is for subtract. All right. Now, notice what we have here. So we do parentheses first. We always look at our parentheses. Then after parentheses, we look for exponents. And then we multiply or divide, and we always do what is seen first. And when I say that, it's the left to right, okay? Left to right. Don't forget that. That is a big thing. You always go from left to right. And then add and subtract, and the same thing goes for that. Left to right. All right? We always go that pattern. So, nothing that you haven't seen before. We're just taking a little bit step and we're working with integers. So let's go ahead and start looking at some problems here. We have 3 divide by -1. Well, first off, we know what 3 divided by 1 is, and that's 3. However, this is 3, it's a positive 3, and this is a -1. And based on our rules, I have 2 different sides, so that means that this answer is going to be a negative. So 3 divided by -1 is -3. Now let's look at the next one. 8 divided by 2. Well, that's easy. We know that to be 4. Okay? And since they're both the same sign, it's a positive 4. Now I'm going to kind of leave these over here to you in just a second, but let's look at this. This next problem we want to talk about 5. You're probably looking at it and saying, no, fractions, I don't want fractions. Well, I'm sorry, it's a fraction. But you have to remember something. Fractions are nothing more than division. It's just the same type of concept, all right? That's it. And so what you're seeing here is a fraction, but it's saying 48 divided by -6. Well, before we worry about the numbers, let's ask ourselves, this is a positive 48, and this is a -6. And since I'm dividing 2 different signs, guess what my final answer is going to be? My final answer will be negative. So I already have a part of my answer right now. I know my answer is going to be a negative number. So what's 48 divided by 6? I could put 8 there. All right, so number 6. I have -13 divided by -13. Well, when I have a negative and a negative, well, that's going to give me a positive number. That's easy because they're the same side. And if I'm dividing a number by an exact same thing, well, it's just equal to 1. So why don't you try 3, 4, 7, and 8 on your own? All right, what you should have got for 3 was -2, for 4, a positive 3, and for 7, 0, and for 8, a -5. Now for this one, it shouldn't have been too hard. 0 divided by any number will always be 0. Okay, this is just a basic rule. 0 divided by a number is always 0. All right, so let's look at 9. So now we're getting back to the PEMDAS rules, because look at what we have here. We have division and we have addition. So we need to follow PEMDAS. So our first one, PEMDAS represents parentheses. So let's look inside of our parentheses. Is there anything we can do with this? No, nothing. It's just the -7. So there's nothing we can do. So the next part is to look for, so we've done parentheses. The next part is to look for exponents. All right, so are there any exponents in this expression? No, there isn't. Well, now we're looking for multiplication and division. All right, so if you look at our rules, we're not doing multiplication, but we're looking for both of them. You see how our rules, I want to write it down. It says multiply and or divide. Do what is seen first, left to right. All right, so we're going to go left to right and look for multiplication or division. Well, the only thing that we see here is division. So we're going to divide first, and we're going to divide -63 divide by -7. So -63 divide by -7. I know that 63 divided by 7 will give me 9. And I also know that since these are both the same sign, it's a +9. And now I have a +6. Well, so I've done my M and my D, and now I'm going to do the A and the S now, my adding and subtraction. Well, all that's left is just adding. So 9 + 6 is equal to 15. All right? So let's look at this one. We have -5 minus 12 divided by 3. Well, let's kind of make our lives a little bit easier. I don't want to do that minus 12. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it to its additive inverse. So -5 plus -12 divide by 3. All right, so that's just a little step that we don't need to forget. When we see subtraction, go ahead and change it to its additive inverse. It's going to make your life easier. Don't forget that additive inverse. All right, now that we've done that, let's follow our PEMDAS rules. Do I have any parentheses? Well, I do have one here, but there's nothing inside for me to do. Do I have any exponents? No, I do not. So now let's look for multiplication and division, and we're going to go left to right. Well, as we look across, the only thing we have is division, and that's -12 divided by +3. Well, 12 divided by 3 happens to be 4, and since these signs are opposite, we know that -12 divided by a +3 is a -4. So now I have -5 plus a -4. Now we just follow our adding and subtracting rules that we already know. And what we get is that this is equal to -9 because we followed PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Why don't you try 11 on your own? Let's go talk about it. So PEMDAS again. Are there any parentheses? Yes, but there's nothing for me to do inside with this -11. Are there any exponents? No, there are no exponents. Now let's do multiplication and division from left to right. So I'm going to go left to right. The first thing I see is -8 times 7. I multiply that and I get -56. And then I keep going. And the next thing I see is 33 divided by -11. When I do, I get -3. All right, so I just did my multiplication and division from left to right. What's left? Well, once we've got all that simplified, we now just have addition. So -56 plus -3 gives us -59. All right, number 12. An online group loses 20 members over 5 months. What is the mean monthly change in group membership? All right, so basically it's asking us here, if you can remember, mean is average, all right? How much is being lost on average per month? Well, we know we lose 20, so if we lose something, that's a -20. And we're losing it over 5 months, so basically we're trying to divide, okay? This is what it means well, forgive the pun, this is what mean means, is we're dividing a certain amount of things over time. So -20 divided by 5. Well, we know it's going to be a negative automatically because these two are opposites. I mean, not opposites, but different signs. So my answer is going to be a negative. And I know that 20 divided by 5 happens to be 4. All right, so you have a little bit of a challenge now. I'm gonna let you read these on your own, 13 and 14, and I'm gonna pause the video here. You know how to find me. You know how to ask questions. You know how to ask other people questions. Do not let this stump you. Ask for help and you shall receive. And I will see you in the next video.